Welcome to another episode of the Shoot to Grill podcast. My name is Jason Bailey. I will be hosting you through this quarantine edition with my guests, which I got to tell you, I like the Zoom factor because I can do it anywhere and talk to anyone from anywhere. And I'm once again doing it from my cabin up in North Georgia, Paradise City, with my propane grill behind me. Not the Kamado Joe, which I get beat up on every once in a while. So it's where grilling meets entertainment. We got a very, very special guest chef here today. I'll introduce you to in a second. And then our celebrity guest is my buddy Matt Iseman, who is in his office. And I'm assuming either LA or Colorado.
LA, baby.
LA.
Hollywood.
Behind him is his college furniture.
And I'm wearing my Colorado flag. Yeah, okay.
What is that? Did you take that from the Sigma Steel of Furniture fraternity house or what?
It is covered in beer. It was a beer pong surface. Yeah. All that's in there is a beer funnel. That's it. I don't have anything practical in my office.
It actually, you open it up and it's a cooler. You just didn't want to let it go.
It'd be a lot cooler if it did.
Of course, Matt is a stand-up comic. He's an entertainer. He's an actor. He does everything. He's the host of Live Rescue. He's one of the hosts of American Ninja Warrior. He ties Arnold Schwarzenegger's shoes on a weekly basis.
Yeah, baby.
So that's before true. Matt and I get into all the good stuff that we're going to bring up, let's meet Jimmy. Jimmy is in Miami. He does have a grill there. He doesn't open the hood of that Camaro and there's not a grill in his car. This is the first time I've met Jimmy, but he's from Georgia. So I'm assuming you listen to the radio show. Then you've been in the military for like 13 years, been to Afghanistan, now in Miami, but a big grill guy. So not only do you dig the radio show, but you do dig the podcast. So like with this Zoom format, it's pretty cool because we can reach out to people like Jimmy, people like maybe you watching or listening, they're like, I'm just grilling all the time in the self-isolation. And Jimmy, I'm assuming that's kind of what you've been doing in Miami, right?
Oh, absolutely. I grill almost every night, I think, probably.
Yeah. Start with the military stuff, because Nate, my producer, was saying, been in the military for 13 years, started grilling in Afghanistan. Is that when you started getting into it?
Well, actually, when I got back from Afghanistan, the first time I started cooking, and then I got really serious into cooking, and it became kind of like therapy for me. And then after my second deployment, I got back, moved down here to Florida where the weather is just beautiful, and then I started grilling. And again, it's therapy basically. You know?
I'm assuming there are not big barbecue parties in Afghanistan, right?
Sorry, what'd you say?
Not a lot of big barbecue parties in Afghanistan.
You know what? Actually, my first deployment, we had a guy that was crazy with grilling, and he made pizzas for us on a grill in Afghanistan.
Yeah, I was wondering where you get your fresh cuts of meat in Afghanistan.
Right? He made some like drug deal with the guys at the DFAC and got all the ingredients, and he made us pizza on a grill in Afghanistan.
Wow.
Do they have that offered up on the base? Like when you go, to wherever it is you guys get some food and stuff, do they have like good meats there? And like, where the hell where they come from?
Honestly, I couldn't tell you. I mean, there's no like offer up. I mean, you go to the DFAC, it's like one day, it's like Groundhog Day. You go into work, you go to eat at the same food every morning. You go to sleep, you go to work, you go eat the same food, you know? I had this guy who was really into grilling, and so he made, I think once he made pizza and once he made bread on a grill.
Oh, yeah. Matt, you've done those USO tours, right?
Yeah, Jason, I was going to say the USO tours were awesome, Jimmy. And honestly, thanks for your service. I got to go over to Afghanistan, and, you just get a glimpse of it when you're going over there as a comedian. But I do remember they did have some meat there, and we asked like, where does this come from? And they said, don't ask, don't tell.
Right.
It's like
nothing. Oh, I thought I was going to get something, guys. I thought that was hilarious.
I liked it.
Man.
It's like,
hey, I couldn't imagine, with the conditions being what they are, haven't been over there. It's nice. I love the idea that cooking is therapy for you, Jimmy.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, it truly is. And grilling is just, the satisfaction you get, I think, from especially something like this. So it's taken a while, you know, the effort you put into it. It's amazing.
Now, not to get too deep because we don't do that really in this podcast, but you know, is it like first, you know, like I got a lot of friends in the military, you know, the PTSD is a thing, obviously. You know, for me, nowhere near that, but I do look at grilling as therapeutic, you know, whether it's on the propane grill behind me or at my house when I got the Kamado Joe. I like spending an entire day, whether it's
Right.
smoking, whatever. It's therapeutic to me.
Oh,
For
absolutely.
somebody served, been there, done that, possibly good therapy, some of the bad memories.
I'm sorry, you cut out right just then.
Yeah, you're freezing a little bit.
I'm freezing. Is it me? Is it my internet?
Paradise City needs better internet, Jason. You're too far out in the wild.
Let me tell you, you try getting somebody to come up here and fix the internet. It ain't happening. It takes a minute. Well, Nate, tell me if it freezes again, and maybe I can move closer to.
Okay, yeah, you're good now.
To the thing. Anyway, all right, we'll move on. So let's find out what Jimmy's going to be cooking. Jimmy, can you hear me, buddy?
Yeah, I got you now.
All right, run down what you're cooking on, what you're going to be cooking,
Yeah.
and at what temperature you're going to cook it at.
So I have just a very cheap $120 grill I got at Home Depot when I first moved down here. And today we're doing a pork loin, Reuben stuffed pork loin. So everything you would have in a Reuben. So
What?
sauerkraut, Swiss,
Oh.
pastrami, Thousand Island dressing. I stuffed that into a pork loin, and I'm smoking it right now on the charcoal with apple wood.
Hey, can I add? Listen, I'll be honest here. I've grilled a fair amount. I'm new to cooking. I started cooking during this quarantine, and one of the things that always fascinates me: where did you get that recipe, man? That sounds awesome. But how would you come up with that?
I'm not gonna lie to you. I stole it. So there was a guy on Instagram. He did a Cuban pork loin, and I was like, you know what? I want to do something like that, but I want to do it a little bit different to make it my own. So I did a Reuben.
I don't think they're stealing, right? In cooking, it's improvising. It's being inspired by.
Exactly. So that kind of when I started, I would just look at recipes, but now I can kind of just go to a grocery store and with nothing on my mind, and I'm like, just find something that inspires me, and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna make a recipe out of this, and then I just go with it.
You know, it was funny. Matt was texting me the last couple days when I asked him to come on, and you know, he was like frantic because he has been grilling, and something happened with his neighbor where there was a leak, and he couldn't get to. It was like a big mess. I don't know.
My grill's out of commission.
Grill's out of commission, and I'm like, dude, don't worry about it. You're not grilling.
I thought I was gonna have to be grilling too. I'm like, I'm glad Jimmy's doing it because like I said, I'm new to cooking. All my fingers now have been burned from grabbing hot pans. I feel like Homer Simpson. No, I just keep doing it. So it's good that you're gonna be around the hot fire.
What have you?
Yeah, I got you, man.
What have you been cooking, Matt?
Honestly, you know, this is what's crazy is I spent the first week of quarantine in bed playing Assassin's Creed and ordering takeout. And after I spent 80 hours in 7 days because the game tracks it, I was like, this is ridiculous. I unplugged the PS4 and I found a master class. You probably have seen these things advertised. And I saw there was one with Gordon Ramsay on cooking. And I started watching it going, I just to be entertained. And after watching 2 episodes, I took notes. I went to the store and I cooked. And I know this sounds like, yeah, that's not that hard, but like I'd never really done it. I'd grilled, I'd done this stuff, and all of a sudden I was doing veggies. And you know, I'm doing like chicken and hamburgers and simple things in the pan. And it's just been, like you said, Jimmy, where you're looking for recipes and trying to find what you can put in it. And it's been, the other thing that's crazy is how much better you feel when you're cooking your food as opposed to eating takeout all the time. And it's just, you know, you eat a little cleaner and better. And I'm still having steaks and things, but it feels better. And I'm really excited. Jason, when he said there's going to be pork, I'm like, ooh, because pork feels like a challenging meat to grill.
You know, yeah, that's the one meat where you're like, man, I hope I cooked it, if not every time.
Yeah, that's it. I overcook every time.
I was freaking out actually right before this started because it was actually cooking faster than I thought it would, because I did one this morning just to test it. This one cooked quicker, so I had to open the grill, move it away from the heat to get the slow kind of calm down.
So do you use a thermometer?
I do actually. Yeah, I have an instant read thermometer.
Okay.
So I stick it in the meat, and then I just go in my apartment. I have a remote.
Oh, technology, baby.
Oh,
there's actually when I smoke whatever it is on the Kamado Joe, they sell this, and they have them for the Big Green Egg and
Was Kamado Joe one of those fighters from Punch Out?
Yeah, when your meat's done, it says finish him.
Finish him. So you use a remote. You got to use a thermometer, is what I'm getting.
Well, this thing, what I was saying is the eye command, and you plug it into the bottom of the Kamado Joe, where the bottom vent is, and you take the probe to plug it in, and it plugs all in. And there's an app on your phone, and it'll give you notifications of the temperature, when it's done,
Okay.
blah, blah. I mean, it like makes it simple, stupid. That's just for smoking, though. And that's what Jimmy's doing. He's smoking. Now, when you're grilling, there's different ways to do it. Different episodes we've had with different chefs, especially steaks, can get tricky because, again, depending on what you're cooking on, how you're cooking it, you then want to throw the thermometer in there. You want to move it off the center rack.
Yeah.
You're doing kind of a briquette kind of grill. So it gets complicated, but it's fun to figure out. That's the important thing. And that's where the therapy comes in.
Yeah.
Oh, it really is. I mean, I've been going since 7 this morning out here on the grill.
To me, it's also primal. I mean, like, listen, I don't go hunt and kill food with my own hands, but starting with the slab of bloody meat and then cooking it into a delicious meal, it's something that I just hadn't appreciated before. And it's nice having the time, I think, too, where, listen, I'm not as efficient as people who know what they're doing. So it's taken a lot longer, but I got nothing but time to learn.
Exactly. And I mean, that's how I learned it. One day I was like, you know what? I'm tired of eating fast food. I'm going to cook something for myself. And
when you cook something good, it tastes even better. I will say that. I made this. I made it.
Yeah. We say this a lot on the podcast is that when you cook and it's good and it's kind of your own thing, because, everybody's kind of got their own flavor, whether they know it or not, kind of like a guitarist where it's Slash.
Good analogy. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So when people leave your house and you have that go-to dish, one of mine is these flying Hawaiian turkey burgers. Nate has had those a million different times, or my Chesapeake chicken or something like that. They're like, going to Bailey's house, for the flying Hawaiian burgers or, that kind of thing.
I'll say the other thing you do, Jason, you come up with some good names, man. The
Chesapeake
Shores.
I'm going to need those recipes, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, I've got an appetizer called shrimp on the nipple, which is which is really good.
It's weird.
It gets weird. We did up at the cabin last night on it's a Baron propane grill, which is a good propane grill. And I have it up here because when I have guests, you're not going to put a Kamado Joe or, any of those types of grills up here.
So forgive me, Jason, I'm a little bit ignorant about some of the technology. I just got a gas grill out back here. That's what that is. So what's the Kamado Joe?
Kamado Joe's the same cooking style as a Big Green Egg,
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
okay,
it's just there's
those are smokers, is that right? Or can you grill as well?
You can grill as well. Yeah, that's like the misconception from the beginning griller is that I can't get a KJ or a Big Green Egg because all they do is smoke food. That's not the case. There's a million different things that you can do that I do with the KJ that I'm still learning. I mean, I'm by far not an expert, but one of my favorite things is the Jotisserie, which is this big ring you put on top, and then it's got a spit with you put a basket on. You put about 25, 30 wings in there, and season as you go, and they just taste absolutely amazing. You know what I mean?
This is perfect timing because the NFL draft's going on. And to me, this reminds me of, a football Sunday, getting up early, especially on the West Coast, where the games start at 10 and you're all day football. And the idea of just meat marinating and grilling and getting the flavors going.
A lot of times for football Sunday, that's what I'll do is I'll get up. I'll if I'm smoking something, I might do it the night before and just leave it on there. And then, I got till 1 o'clock for the wings. They only take 20, 35 minutes, get up, go to the gym, play tennis, do whatever, come back, do some of the wings and sit down, eat some food. So, it's pretty good. Hey, Jimmy, do you need to step away? Are you going to sit there or do you need to, what's your plan with this pork?
Yeah, so I actually have I'm going to do 2 more. I got one on the grill right now. I'm going to do 2 more, so I'm going to go prep those, and I'll let you guys do your thing.
Okay, Jimmy, hey, but real quick before you step away, are you grilling in the parking lot of a senior living facility? Where are you?
This is my apartment complex.
Oh, sorry.
But come on, man, that you got to be the most popular tenant right now because you're cooking delicious pork. Everyone's going to be coming out. Forget social distancing.
I've already given some away. I'm doing 4 today, and I'll give all that away to the neighbors. Yeah.
Delish.
Well, that's one thing. Real quick, Jimmy, that's one thing that you've been doing, right? Because you've been helping a lot of people out down there in Miami. Talk about that real quick.
Yeah. So I mean, I think thankfully I'm fortunate enough where I'm not really too affected by the shutdown financially. So I'm very thankful for that, and I feel like you got to give back. If you're not affected, I know there's a lot of people that are affected by this. I have family members, friends that are seriously affected by the shutdown. I'm thankfully not, so I'm like, hey, why not just give back and do what you can, right? So I mean, I cook, I grill, so let's give some food away.
That's awesome.
You're the man, Jimmy. All right, well, do your thing. Matt and I will chit chat here a little bit. One thing with Matt, the years that I've known him, obviously when we get him on the radio, when we do one of these interview things, it's always about him being in town, like at the Punchline and doing stand-up or the television shows and this and that. But what, we always fail to mention, and now would be a really good time to talk about this, is Matt is a doctor.
Yes.
Right now in this pandemic world that we live in, got any answers?
So this is what's crazy is, I've hung up the stethoscope. I'm not current in medicine, but my what's crazy is just seeing my friends. My friends are on the front lines. If you've watched ABC at all and seen their chief medical correspondent Jen Ashton, we grew up together. Our dads went to medical school together. We went to medical school together. And I've been talking to her quite a bit. And, you can just see where the information is changing so rapidly. The numbers are changing so rapidly that it's hard to know. I mean, my friends on the front lines, the thing, all they're saying, right, is just we're gathering information. And it's changing, week to week and even sometimes day to day. It looks like we're coming out the other side, but now you see, we don't know what's going to happen in the fall. Will there be a second wave? We don't know about the therapeutics. We don't know about the, people, Georgia, you guys are starting to open up and it's inevitable. It's going to happen, but it's tough to be the first state because we know there's going to be a rebound in cases whenever someone opens up. That's to be expected. It's a question of how much. Will this secondary wave overwhelm? We don't know. So I think everyone's in this waiting game. And I will tell you, selfishly, I'm not regretting the decision to leave medicine because, selfishly, I'm at home. I'm pretty safe here in Los Angeles. And my friends, her brother, who's obviously a good friend of mine, he's a hand surgeon who went into the ER to try to help. He's like, I'm going to offer my services here because they need it in New York. And he contracted it. He's okay. But you just see these people are more than ever. It's not just a serious job. It's a life and death job for them and their patients. And they're putting their lives in the line. So I appreciate all the first responders on Live Rescue. My co-host, Dan Flynn, he's an ER nurse. And he was in New Orleans where it was, along with New York, they were really kind of the two epicenters. New Orleans was getting slammed and he was in the ER and he was like, I've never seen anything like it. It's getting better now. And his therapy is he took his fifth wheel out. He's got his RV, he and his wife, and he's cooking and grilling. He's just like, I just needed to get out and spend some time and cook some food. So I don't know what's going on. It seems that, we're getting through it, but I think people are getting antsy, especially as we're seeing in Georgia. People want this return to normalcy, or at least to try to figure out what's the new normal? How are we going to work? What are we going to do? Because, like in Hollywood, we're shut down. Ninja Warrior, we were supposed to start on March 13th, and it was March 11th, March 12th, where stuff started getting real. And so we were ready to go. The course was set up. All the athletes were here. Crowds had come, and then it's just like, it went from, hey, maybe we'll try without a crowd. Maybe we'll limit the crowd to, we're going to do it without a crowd. And this is over the span of about 3 hours. These emails coming in, and then all of a sudden it's like, hey, we're postponing. Now everything's postponed. And so, we're like so many businesses, we're just kind of waiting until we can get back, and then figuring out, well, how do we do Ninja Warrior? Because, we'll have about 100 athletes, but our crew is around over 100 people. And then, usually about thousands of fans. So are we going to have fans? And even if we don't, there's still a lot of people who are going to be together and going on obstacles. How do you keep the obstacles clean? So these are all the issues that we're trying to deal with. It's going to happen, but when and how, I don't know.
Yeah. I would think something like American Ninja Warrior, you could easily do without a crowd. I mean, there are certain things in sports, like, I'm a big tennis guy. So, I get it from the standpoint. You're going to miss that buzz from the stands. Golf, they're going to go through with that here in the next couple of weeks.
Oh, how about this Tiger, Phil, and Tiger and Peyton, and Phil and Brady.
Right?
Yeah. I think it will. I think it'll likely be without crowds, but we're also going to have to figure out where are we going to do it? Are we going to go to Vegas? I mean, Vegas is where we typically shoot the finals, because we're probably going to have to do it in 1 or maybe 2 locations instead of 6 or 7 the way we normally do it. And we'll probably just be someplace for a month and do the whole season. But yeah, figuring out without a crowd. And then I think just how do we do it? And you're right. I think people are going to be obviously understanding that things are going to be different coming back, from entertainment to restaurants to whatever. But I think people are ready for new content. And that's what you're seeing the shows that are on now, Masked Singer, these shows, they were shot before, but there's going to come a point in this summer where we're not going to have anything new. And we're seeing with the NFL with Zoom, where people are trying to figure out, how do you do these things? And, the draft has been awesome TV. And I think everyone's been forgiving for, there are not huge crowds there, and they're zooming in a crowd. By the way, did you see in the Jets, somebody snuck in that porn star,
No.
iconic shot. They were having like the Brady Bunch thing behind Goodell. Yeah. And while he was talking, somebody snuck that image right up there on national TV. I'm like, there you go, NFL. That's what happens when you're live on the internet.
Well, it should be interesting, as Mark Cuban and I kind of jumped onto this tag of America 2.0, because I do buy into it. In the entertainment world, what's going to change, actually not just the entertainment world, the food industry too, as like restaurants, I think everything's going to get dumbed down. Technology, because it's so easy, is going to dumb everything down. Where, the production of television shows, the viewer, like you said, Matt, you're going to be really forgiving of the production. Because it's going to be the new norm, and you're not going to need the big zings and zangs and this and that. You can just literally produce it within the program, like Zoom, and then put it out there for the world to see it. And it's almost like this is reality television 2.0.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
You're right. And I think, what we're seeing, and they're already talking about that. They are talking about the realities being that the initial productions will probably likely be remote. So a thing like Ninja, you can't, it's hard to do obstacles remotely, where it's like, okay, Nate, jump over your couch. Good job. That's it. It's stage 1. But some of the other stuff, it will likely be remote. But the thing they're talking about is they're saying they really are concerned about the image quality and the internet quality, because they said as it goes on, they don't want it dropping out or the lags. Some things they are trying to figure out, how do you get better internet? And I don't know, like, in Paradise City, somebody running a fiber optic cable out there. I don't know. So, and this is what you see though, where the ubiquity of everyone has a broadcast studio in their hands with their phone. So you can get something out, and if you're creative, it can be pretty good.
Yeah. Well, it can be. I love this. We normally do this show, at least we were doing seasons, and the first 3 seasons, we had was kind of, remember, I was always trying to get you there, but it just didn't work out when you were in town.
Yeah.
But we had it was kind of like a TV set at Atlantic Grill Company, and it was cool. It was a kitchen, and we did the whole thing. But I mean, gotta be honest with you, it was a lot of work that went into that.
Yes.
It took it was like producing a television show.
Yeah.
And, so Nate and I were like trying to find a different way to do it. And we're like, well, let's just do what everybody else is doing. I was like, we're going to be able to get guests galore because they ain't doing shit.
Yeah.
Why not join a stupid grilling podcast from some idiot in Georgia?
Honestly, this is the highlight of I had to get out of bed for this. It's like, my boy Jason's got, no, and I, to me, that's been one of the big silver linings of this. And I think that's been one of the things that I've seen a lot of people do is, look, we know this is a scary time. We know there are a lot of fears. There's a lot of unknowns, but it's like trying to find the silver linings. Slowing down has been a huge one, where you see just with phones and, I was doing a lot of traveling, and I know, like you were saying, where you're going into the studio, all this time commuting, all this time where it's this frenetic pace. And as we slow down, you start to say, did I need all that? Could I still accomplish things from home? Could I accomplish things being a little more efficient? And the other benefit, the surprising thing is, in this period of isolation where we're all in lockdown, has been the better connections I'm getting with my friends and family, because rather than, hey, a 5 minute, not even a 90-second phone call where someone's in between meetings or you're busy, you're sitting down, you're grabbing a couple pops, you're having a Zoom conversation with your family for an hour and a half. I'm playing poker with my buddies, and we got like 10 of us who are playing for like 3 or 4 hours. I'm like, man, we did this. Maybe we did this, once a year we do a trip together, maybe. And now we're doing it once a week. And so I think when you talk about 2.0, it's going to be what are the things that stick coming out of this? I think a lot more people are going to work remotely. I think we're going to realize we can be a lot more efficient with time. And I think you're going to find these ways of, man, I'm enjoying slowing down and connecting with people. And I hope I don't lose that when things pick up again, and trying to make that a priority.
Yeah, well, it's no secret that people have realized that the earth is a lot cleaner right now. Out in LA, the smog isn't quite there. You've seen some of those shots from outer space and whatnot. So the conspiracies go along with like, hey, there's a higher power that says, hey, assholes, slow your shit down.
Yeah.
By the way, the poker thing, because I'm a poker fan as well. If you get a chance, stgpoker.com. It's one of the sponsors of the show.
Really?
Yeah, it'll give you a referral, and you can play for cash. Go to the website first, and then you go download it on your phone or your iPad. And then after you load up on the website, if you go to STG Poker, Shoot STG Poker, it'll already have the referral code on the website.
Shoot to Grill Poker.
STG.
Yeah, and it's good interface.
Yeah, it's really cool. I mean, it's just like any of the other ones that if you play like Carbon or any of those things, it's the same setup, but very user friendly. Cash outs are easy. You got to go back to the website for the cash out. So I know I've been playing on the app since I knew about it since they reached out. And I'm like, I used to play 3-4 times a week when I lived in Orlando. I'd go over to Daytona and I'd sit there and do 10, 12-hour sessions, and just
right.
Oh, dude, some people said I had a problem. I said I just practiced a lot.
It's meditative, right? When you're just sitting at the table, and that's what's fun with poker is your mind's kind of occupied, but then you're talking trash with, we're jumping on Zoom while we're playing, and it's just fun, like the trash talk, and it's a great escape, man. It's like, hey, we forget about everything that's going on, and all of a sudden you feel like you're back sitting on someone's porch, and you're all together again. And I do think that the slowing down has been great, man. Phones, it's a tool, but I know I'm a slave to it, man. And it just makes you feel like you're always busy. And I'm like, am I really accomplishing anything being on Twitter and Instagram and sending emails? And so I think this has been, it's forcing people to assess, hey, what are your priorities? What's really important to you in these times? And coming out of it, I hope that's something we keep, and you see it where people are like, man, I'm never going back. I'm always going to be enlightened. I'm going to live a simple life. And, 3 months later, it's back to the grind. So, I think this is a huge moment. It'll be interesting what really sticks, what we take from it.
People, excuse me, Ice Cube, not
Yeah,
coronavirus.
buddy.
People think that they're like in survival mode right now. Like, I only have 63 rolls of toilet paper left.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to get through 2020. I don't know. If not, I'm going out back and making my own TP. You know, it's like this camouflage survival mentality that everybody loves to have, but none of us have it really. You know, unless you're Mr. Woodsman, who you've never met. Let me ask you this, because you'd be a good person to ask. So people think I'm crazy. I think that I had the coronavirus last year, and there has been stories saying that it was possibly around. And I went to like 3 or 4 different doctors last year, and it was around this time, and nobody could figure it out. They're saying bronchitis. They're saying, you know, they did all these different tests, and it was allergies. It was everything. You know, coronavirus didn't exist, or COVID-19 didn't exist.
Right.
So what scared me was, I'm in pretty decent shape, right? I mean, I play tennis all the time. I'm athletic and work out, you know, whatever. I'd go out on the tennis courts and I'd be out of breath within 2 minutes, like to the point I could not continue. It was a respiratory thing.
Yeah.
And so I was going to, I took my wife, took Rach to Atlantic City for her birthday, and I had to go to the doc in the box. I was feeling so bad. So then when the summer months came, it went away. Or I'm sorry, the winter months, it came and went away. Then this whole thing happens, and I had every symptom of what happened. Do you think I possibly could have had it last year?
Listen, I will never play doctor with someone individually, but I will say we're seeing a lot of antibody tests coming out, and in the areas, I know LA did some, I think New York, I think they had 3 studies somewhere up north in California, and all 3 of them showed that the prevalence of this was much higher than anticipated. So were these people having it asymptomatically, or did they have it like you're speculating before last year? Because I've heard a lot of people say that, where they had this. And the other thing people brought up were the vaping illnesses, where people were having those lung issues, and they thought, now granted, those were young, otherwise healthy people. So, you know, I think we're pulling in a lot of different things. I don't know. I think as we get more testing and this antibody testing, and as we're able to figure out, was this COVID-19, was it a different coronavirus, was it something else? You know, that's what we're learning. We're still finding out. My God, look at all the cheese he's putting on.
I'm just looking at that going, that looks so good.
Holy cow. I don't know, Jason. I think that's, you know, and this is the reality. We don't know right now. And we're trying to discover.
Matt says hi, by the way.
Is that Waldorf and Stadler coming in there? The Muppet Show.
She wants to show you her Dollar General hat we just bought.
That's amazing. That is a lucky hat. He should wear that when he plays poker.
Yeah. Well, when we come up to the cabin, one of the reasons we bought this a couple years ago is because it's only 20 minutes from the casino in North Carolina.
You're kidding.
Now that was one of the selling points.
Right.
So we know if we can't get a room up there, we'd stay here. And go to Harrah's and then drive back and stay at the cabin for the weekend. But it's closed, right? So
yeah,
you know, we can't.
Well, then you realize you can play online. You're gonna stay at Paradise City. What do you need it for? No, listen. I think we're discovering a lot about it, and unfortunately, I don't think we're gonna know all the answers for a few months. So, you know, we're gonna make guesses, like Atlanta, Georgia opening, and I think, you know, we're seeing from the way Sweden handled it, the way the UK handled it, we're seeing different approaches and trying to figure out which one makes the most sense. But there's a lot of, you know, operating in the dark right now, which is scary. It's scary. But you know, it seems like this isn't the Black Plague, right? This doesn't look like the end of civilization. But you know, it's the other thing is, this is a warning shot across the bow, where we've been talking about, you know, from SARS or Ebola or H1N1. There have been some warnings that didn't really impact the U.S. that much. But this one has, and you know, it does seem like an inevitability that at some point there will be a virus that is a little stronger. And so it's figuring out, all right, what if we do, you know, what if the next one is even more troubling, more lethal? How are we going to handle that?
What if we get a second wave of this and it mutates? God knows. What you keep bringing up Georgia. So what Georgia's done, old Brian Kemp, our governor, this guy's awesome. So he throws out a list of things that he's going to reopen, and as of this weekend they're reopening, and they're all like chick things. It's like gyms, which is cool,
Right.
but like estheticians, massage parlors, body tattoos,
Right.
haircuts, barbers, and then the dude throws in bowling alley, and I'm looking at this list and I'm saying, okay, so there's no doubt your wife came up with this list, and she's pissed off because she wants to get back to normal. So she was like, look, I'm not giving you a piece of ass until you open this shit back up, Brian.
You let me go get waxed, get a tattoo, get my hair cut, and get a workout in.
And by the way, my girlfriend Fran is a big bowling fan, so make sure you open up the bowling alleys because that makes sense. It's like out of all the things that you could have thrown out there as far as the wow factor, bowling could have done laser tag. That would have made more sense.
Bro, there's some viewers right now getting their hackles up. You don't disparage bowling. Bowling. I think, yeah, man. It's crazy. Imagine going to a movie again. Imagine going to a like, have you done this? You're watching TV and you'll see like a big crowded place. You're like, oh God, they're going to be in, and you're like, how quickly has our mindset shifted to where, the idea of if you're in a theater and somebody coughs, you're getting up and walking out. And you wonder, stand-up comedy, my God, my heart breaks for the club owners, because when are people going to want to go into a small enclosed room where comedy is best when people are packed in close? Doing comedy with people spread out, you might as well be talking to a brick wall. So I think there are going to be some businesses that are going to have to reinvent, and I don't know. I love stand-up comedy. I'm lucky enough that most of my money comes from TV, but I know my friends who are touring comics, they're just like, I don't know what's going to happen, man. You can only do so many online shows in your living room, and trying to figure out how you're going to get, how crowds are going to feel comfortable getting back out there until there's a vaccine or something. Yeah. I don't know.
I call what you're talking about when you're watching TV and how our mindset's already changed. I call it the Die Hard effect, because every time I watch the first Die Hard and he lights up a cigarette in the airport, I'm like, whoa.
Yes.
And it's like, wow, dude. And you're right. You watch things on TV and you're like, oh my God, you remember when I just like would get in the car and go someplace and there'd be people and you'd see somebody and you'd shake their hands, and what if we never go back to that? What if it's, the post 9/11 effect where, I tell my daughter, I'm like, there was once a time where I would go and meet my grandmother at the gate at the airport.
Yeah.
What if it's one of those types of deals?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I definitely think there are going to be some changes. And, I already saw some flight attendants were talking about mandatory masks. And I'm like, yeah, I can't imagine when you get on a plane that in your seat, there won't be sanitizer and a mask. And, the idea of flying without a mask now, I don't see it happening, at least for a few years. So yeah, there are going to be some changes in what are movie theaters going to do? What are, and for restaurants, when they're like, well, just open up, but only have people every 6 feet. It's like, okay, so your restaurant's going to have 4 tables. That's not financially feasible for a lot of them. So you wonder what are businesses going to do? And I can see where, it's scary enough dealing with this virus, but then figuring out how are we going to all make a living? How's product TV going to go forward? What's the new reality? And, we don't know, but I guess you just kind of go, well, I'll figure something out, figure out how to cook meat with my bare hands
and kill it. Do you have any, has any of your, stand-up comic friends said, especially, those that are touring stand-up comics that haven't really gotten their TV break or another way to make a living, just said, you know what, I'm too afraid of this virus. I just said,
not yet. I haven't heard that yet, but I have to imagine whether they're too scared or not going, I don't, I know clubs are booking comics for June and July, just on the, they're proceeding as though, hey, if it happens, we want to have a lineup ready. But, the question is, will the crowds return? And I think there'll be a point where at a certain point, people are going to be, God, I want some normalcy. I want something, but I don't know. And so I don't know what comics, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do. It's scary. I mean, that's scary when you think of, hey man, your career as you know it may not be viable in the way you knew it. And you're going to have to figure out, whether it's podcasting or something where it's like, but that's a big shift. It's a big shift for someone who goes, listen, I made my living 45 weeks out of the year. I'm in clubs and I had a crowd there and I built a following, to all of a sudden say, hey, now you gotta do something else for your income. And I know a lot of people are facing that. A lot of industries right now are struggling and don't know how they're going to come back. So, and that's one of the things where we don't know how TV is going to be impacted, but I think it's going to come back. So I feel like I've got some security, even though, my, the roof is leaking, there's mold, and I'm spending a lot of money and not taking any money in. I'm hoping that that things are going to return soon.
This house, is that your house that's leaking?
Yeah. So, there's like the old garage, the previous owner converted the garage into like a guest space, and the roof was leaking, and it's all filled with mold. And so they're having to tear the roof off, tear the walls down. And the insurance company is like, well, if it's mold related, we cover $2,500. I'm like, the testing was more than that. They're like, yeah, that's all you're going to get. I'm like, oh, okay. Well, this, just as all the work stops to have the, but again, I'm okay. I'm okay. So the term in Georgia, Matt, is I'm blessed. I'm blessed. Yeah.
God is good. Thank you. I'm blessed.
And listen, I have rheumatoid arthritis, and the treatment I'm on is an immune system modifier. So I'm immune compromised. So, I'm lucky because, I should be, I could be in a group that could be particularly susceptible to this. So when you think of it, it's like, all right, let's go with my health first. My health is okay. I haven't contracted it as far as I know. So, it's hard though when you're lying awake at night going, what is the future gonna? What's this 2.0? And I guess we're all kind of living in this state of, well, don't know. And so you're just,
I think there's going to be interesting, trends that come out of this. Obviously, we've seen terms that dictionary.com has had to redefine, social distancing, Rona, and these types of words. But, we're going to live in a mask society, which then is going to, show the character of the person wearing the mask. So based off of like, oh, that guy must be a Steelers fan. He's got a Steelers fan. Or it's going to turn into a Star Wars type of deal where we're all stormtroopers. And instead of wearing the masks, like, what everybody's thinking of right now, we're actually wearing masks.
Well, I saw someone speculating, someone very early on said masks are going to become a new normal. And that the smart companies are going to say, all right, how do we make a better mask? Like a mask that has a Bluetooth speaker built in that's still able to sanitize. Where they're like, how are you going to have one that's functional, one that could convey emotion or something? And, it's not unthinkable to imagine that people are going to figure out a better mask, and kind of this reality that, hey, if you're traveling, if you're going to be in public spaces, masks are going to be a part of the new normal for at least a year and maybe going forward. So seeing what innovations come out with that, right? I don't know. I think,
like brands like Under Armour or Nike.
Yeah.
We're going to make, the microfiber sport mesh masks, and they're going to be built into the shirts.
Right.
Or for the, button-up shirt business guy, the undershirts are going to have them. So, I mean, this is just my prediction.
Yeah.
So you will never be without mask, whether you're wearing it or not.
Yeah.
Everybody's going to be wearing a turtleneck. And so you can kind of put it over when you need to. And then,
yeah.
But the thing is that going back to what I was saying, like, you're going to then profile, somebody based off of the mask that they're wearing. We're doing it now. It's like, oh, you don't have the N95 mask. You must be poor, that kind of thing. Or, oh, that's kind of cool. You made that at home. you must be one of those climate change people. You know, you drive an electric car, you Whole Foods shopping hippie. You know, so everybody's profiling people based off of their mask. It's kind of funny, actually.
Well, you know, it's just what we said, where like de Blasio in New York set up that tip line where you could take photos and tattle on people. And it's amazing how the mindset, how it changed, where we said you're looking at people, the diehard effect, when you're out of the store and you see someone without a mask and you think, how dare you? How dare you? And you just find, like, you know, it's like shame, shame, shame. You want to throw an orange at them. Yeah, but I think what's really interesting is, for the first time, people are more cognizant of the public as a whole, of community, of this idea of, hey, it's not just about infecting me. It's, you could be infecting your parent, whatever. You are contributing to putting everyone at risk. So you're seeing this kind of group, you know, this idea of the whole, people trying to protect the whole for better or worse. And it's you know, I think a different mindset than we're used to.
Are you still recording Live Rescue? I would think that would be the perfect show to record during this time.
Yeah, you know, Live PD is going on, and Live Rescue, we had some, it was a little tougher because of the position the first responders were in. I think they're trying to figure out, how do you do it? You know, obviously, look, the first responders are out there. How do we document their stories? I think they're trying to figure out, how do we do that moving forward? So I don't know. You know, it's one of the things where they're trying to figure out, how do you do this show responsibly, and so above my pay grade, but I know they are trying to figure out, how do you get this thing back up? Because you're right. Now,
I think the NFL.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead, Matt.
Yeah, I was just saying, right now we're seeing how the first responders, it's, you know, and you're seeing what they're doing. Imagine this, every call they go to, in the back of their minds, they have to consider, does this person have COVID? And if they do, you know, they're being exposed to it likely every shift. You know, they're going to come into contact with somebody, and they have to think about not only themselves, their partners. They have to think of the equipment because of the other people and the patients, and then bringing them into a hospital. So just the steps they're having to go through to protect themselves and protect everybody. I think it's really highlighting first responders. And then, you know, like, you go to the store and you see that person in the checkout counter realizing, hey, they're handling everyone's food here. The responsibility they have of keeping themselves and keeping all of us clean. It's you know, you're seeing people placed on the front line. I mean, the grocery workers, you wouldn't think of them as being frontline soldiers, but effectively that's what they've become in this battle.
Oh, never in a million years did I think the mutant that bags my groceries the new G.I. Joe figure. You know, I was like, well, dude, you're here. Gotta hand it to you.
Right.
Got bigger balls than most, even though I think you probably have something in your bloodstream that would kill COVID. I'm just I've been around you long enough to know that. Yeah.
It's awesome that, you know, but for them, it's like, hey man, I got a job. You know, and a lot of people, it's like, if you have a job, you're grateful right now, because you see a lot of people don't.
Well, that's why I was asking about the stand-up comics of, you know, you've got two different types of people with this thing, is that, you know, and this is from the beginning, you have the overreactors, and I don't mean that in a bad way, and then you have the underreactors, and I don't mean that in a bad way. Those are just two different mindsets.
Right.
But if you are the overreactor and you have a job that's going to put you in harm's way, and over harm's way in your mind, like, hey, look, just started out this comedy thing. I love it. If I could possibly learn to do without it, I'm going to get out of it. Same with television. I mean, you know, my business of radio will continue. You know, it takes forever for them to catch up, and always find something to knock it back. And I think this is going to knock it back. I think there are certain day parts that they're going to say, just do it from home, man. Do it from the closet. There's no need for you to come into the building. Salespeople.
Yeah.
There's no need for it, right?
Well, right. And I know for a lot of workers, I have buddies in finance who are saying that, where, you know, they're traders, hedge fund traders that rely on the market. But, you know, in a few days, they figured out, all right, you know, we're going to make sure your internet's good. We're going to make sure it's secure. We're going to get you these computers and go. And then, like he said, in 3 days, their entire worldwide firm was able to work remotely. So you see that, you know, there are innovations that can be made, and things that where, you know, they thought, oh no, you're always going to come into the office until you can't. And then you figure out maybe we don't have to. And the idea of, you know, for you, if you could just roll out of bed and make sure that Rickman's up too, and you guys can do it from home and not lose a lot, but gain so much in terms of security, safety, and making it less expensive, it's going to be hard to argue against it, like you were saying. And same thing with TV, where we're going to see, what can we do? How can we be more efficient? Because we do know, you know, likely budgets are going to be going down on everything. Everything's going to be cash strapped. All these companies, other than maybe Zoom and Amazon, everything else is going to be struggling. So figuring out how to be more efficient, man, because, you know, it's about the bottom line, right? For these businesses.
Well, we are right now. We're doing the show from my house, and you know, Steve's at his house. One thing that I've noticed about doing this, and I'm just speaking on my behalf, is that it kind of makes me lazy. You know,
yeah.
I mean, I don't know about you, Nate. You know, Nate comes to my house and then the rest of the show, but doesn't it make you like a little lazy? Just, you still have to drive, so maybe your schedule's not as different.
Yeah, I mean, it's like we're sitting on his couch in the man room, all laid back. We got the mood lighting, so
yeah,
it's definitely harder than sitting in a studio with studio lights and sitting in a nice chair, you know. So we're a little more relaxed.
Well,
bringing us breakfast, you know.
Yeah, and you don't have to dress up, right? I mean, you can just wear sweats, which you could do anyway. But I think the other thing is, like, your coworkers aren't around, your boss isn't in the next room. Yep. They're listening, but there's something different about, you're right. It's at home, psychologically feeling like, I'm wearing my Zubaz pants. I haven't worn anything but in a week. Very professional.
And you can't screw up. Like, literally, this is giving everyone a free pass. In the entertainment business, you can't put out a bad product right now, because under the conditions, I think people have empathy for you, right? You can put out the worst movie ever, and
but
be like, thank you for entertaining me. I appreciate
that will change. I think that will change. And eventually people just adapt, and they'll start to say, because you're right, but there's a sea of content coming out. And eventually people will be like, all right, the cream will rise, man. Like, you've done radio long enough. You know how to put on a good show, because a lot of people are going to be jumping into podcasting and trying to do things. And I think there's going to be a ton of new content. But what's the good content consistently? I think that'll be the challenge, right? Is to make that high quality content. Because eventually I think people will start to say, all right, I want to know, I want something good. So I think there's a lot of latitude right now, but eventually people will start to demand good stuff.
Yeah, there will be a new way of thinking, you know. In the past, I don't know, 10-ish years, you know, the whole idea with entertainment, not just TV, not just radio, but TV, is short attention spans, less interest, and all that kind of stuff. And so you get to the point quicker, long form is going to die. Well, we learned that wasn't true. Podcasting comes along, and it's all long form.
Joe Rogan going for 3-4 hours.
Yeah. Exactly. You know, and he pulls it off. You know, I'm a Rogan fan, and you know, but he's got it comes into the it factor. You know, there's a and that's the difference between the great entertainers and then the not so great entertainers. Is Rogan's got an it factor about him. You know, he doesn't give a fuck. You know, he just goes on, does his thing, and you either like it or you don't. You got a lot of these guys that are very choppy, you know, and it's, so today on the podcast, we're talking with Matthew Iseman.
You know where I'm seeing that, Jason, is politicians, where you hear these politicians trying to give these heartfelt speeches that they're reading, and you hear them going, if I could change this, believe me, I would change this. Like, bro, speak from the heart. We want connection right now. Don't be word perfect.
That's a great point, and that's going to be the game changer. Roger Goodell, night one, draft. That is a perfect example of reading from a teleprompter, and this is where you're going to find out the people that can talk for a living, entertain for a living, shoot from the hip, and those that can't and got to read from a teleprompter. Hope. It's all about hope. We here at the NFL
He was a joyless scold. He was a joyless scold. Watching him with the crowd going, he's trying to pump up these people, and he's like, let's go, come on, instead of like, hey, man, you're about to find out who's going to change your franchise. And then he would turn around, and he was an empty robot. And yeah. I agree. I was watching that going, this guy should not be the face of the NFL. However good he might be as commissioner, he's not the face of the NFL. He's a suit, and an empty suit. He had on this time where he could have just been like, man, we are all together. And he could have been a human. Instead, he was the shield. And I thought it was a mistake. Like, I thought the draft was great other than him. I thought it showed just this guy's just there's no humanity behind Goodell. And I thought he was just a black hole of energy the entire draft. And I still enjoyed watching it despite him.
One of my favorite things about this Zoom run with, again, you take something like the NFL draft is you profile, you stereotype, you get to see where people live, and like you look at Joe Burrow, of course, the number one pick on a Cincinnati.
Joe Burrow looking good.
And I'm like, all right, this is nice. He's humble. He comes from humble beginnings. Looks like his parents have owned that house for a very long time. I remember that couch from the 70s. His dad looks cool. Mom way younger.
Yeah.
And they're self-isolating. Nobody else there.
Yeah.
Then you go to Chase Young's house, and you're like, okay, very humble house, very modern house. That's cool. But my man invited everybody from over there, not self-isolating right now.
I know. So it was. I will say that was what was awesome about the draft, though. To me, I love things where you see stakes, and to me, like, you're seeing these kids' lives changed. Like, here it is. You've just become a millionaire. All this hard work that your family has probably dedicated themselves to, and seeing that moment, that's what makes it so awesome. These kids having that real moment of, here you go, man. This is the moment you've been waiting for. And, other than Jake Fromm, so it was tough for him having it dragged out. I thought that was what made it great. And then Cliff Kingsbury's house just put it all to shame. That thing, it looked like a mausoleum. It looked like this is the Pentaveret. That's where the people who run the world live. This shiny Gattaca looking house.
I forget who it was. I forget which player it was, but he sent out a tweet and he was like, yeah, this is why I couldn't get a raise.
Oh, yeah. Matthew, Tyron, yeah. A honey badger.
It was a honey badger.
Yeah, that's why they traded me. Yeah, that was good. And then
traded me because you had coach's house needed some renos.
They had that. I saw that meme going around where it had Cliff Kingsbury in his gorgeous house, 5 wins. Bill Belichick in that dumpy room with his dog going 8 rings. Okay.
All right, Jimmy. We've been watching this whole time, and you've been crushing it on that grill.
But, can I compliment your cutting board and your presentation, the way you were setting your blade out? Chef Jimmy Bones carved into his cutting board. The guy's got flair. He's a showman.
Jimmy Bones. Jimmy, so we watched you. I think you did this on purpose. This is like a real-life cooking show. So you've already cooked one, but then you prepared more, which was really well thought out and badass. Like, you're way ahead of the curve for this kind of show. So you taking the pork, you trim the fat, and I was watching the whole time. You've got your trimming blade, which, by the way, those things are awesome. Spend the money, get yourself a high-end one.
Oh yeah, good knife. You can't go wrong.
And then you put the Swiss cheese, the Thousand Island, and did I miss it? Did you put the sauerkraut in there as well?
Yeah, I put pastrami and sauerkraut also.
Oh,
dang!
Then you
wrap it with butcher's twine.
Butcher's twine. I was going to ask you, Matt, do you know what butcher's twine is?
I don't. I saw him tying the meat up with it.
Jimmy, explain. I learned about this a couple months ago. Explain what butcher's twine is.
So it's just like basically just a cooking, string, honestly. You just use it to tie meat. And people get real fancy with it. They can do like elaborate ties. I just do basic, wrap it around, tie a knot. But
you can't, Matt. You can't just go get twine. I learned this when I was doing
it. I thought it would catch on fire. Butcher's twine is better.
Burn.
Butcher's twine made from a synthetic doesn't catch on fire. I felt like an idiot. I went into a store.
These are the mistakes I've been making. Why is everything going up in flame?
I need something to wrap this turkey up, but I don't want it to catch on fire. And they all looked at me like I was the idiot. They're like, you use butcher's twine. Well, excuse me, I don't know what the hell butcher's twine is, asshole. Yeah.
Right.
Well, let's get a look.
I couldn't find.
What's that?
I think he's freezing a little bit.
Yeah, he's freezing. Let's get a look at this pork
Sorry,
there. And give us a virtual taste of your pork, please.
I couldn't tonight. Yeah, center.
You what? Oh, there he goes. Okay. Look at that. So there's another blade that you can buy, Matt, that's longer and it's more rectangular.
Uh-huh.
And I'll send you some pictures. Definitely something to invest in. Slices beef, like, you know.
I did just get some nice cooking knives, but not a particularly long one like Chef Jimmy's got. Jimmy Bones.
Jimmy Bones. Yeah, it's a
Oh my God, look at that.
Yeah,
look at that.
Can you get closer, Jimmy? That looks awesome, dude.
Come on,
yeah, let me
son.
see it. Let me take the phone out of the
Now this is just rude here, Bailey, because I want a taste of that.
Well, I'm not kidding. Oh my
Melted
God.
Cheese. That is top notch.
Yeah. So Jimmy, real quick again, you're smoking it. How long did you have it on the smoker?
So it took about 2 hours, I think.
Oh, that's not bad.
No, 2 hours at about 400.
Okay, and the temperature internally for the
145.
how much?
145.
145. Okay.
Yeah, so you sear it on the hot side. So I do a hot side and I do a cold side. Sear it on the hot side and then move it to the cold side once it's seared, and just let it set.
And you smoked it with you wrapped it with the cheese, the sauerkraut, the pastrami, the Thousand Island. Butchers twined it up, and then you threw it on. So it's really a plug-and-play dish.
So I'm a little, when you use the thermometer, where would you put it here? Because obviously you got the pork, but then in the center, you've got the pastrami and other things. So where do you check the temperature to know that's done, Jimmy?
So really, you want to make sure the pork's done. So I tried to stick it in like the thickest part of the pork.
Okay.
Because that's going to be the last thing that gets done.
Okay.
Yeah, anytime you want to take the temperature of any meats, you always want to go into the thickest portion.
Right.
Like if
Exactly.
What I was talking about, like the eye command earlier, there's a probe that you'll just leave on there. You're going to leave that on the thickest portion.
Okay.
Right. And then it'll give the temperature. Yes.
Grilling 101 for Iseman.
Well, hey, next time you're in Atlanta, you can come over to the Bailey House of Awesomeness. We just redid the deck. And we'll cook I'll do some flying Hawaiian burgers, steak.
That sounds good. Ditch
a night that the punchline and say, I can't do Friday night. I'll do Friday day. I'm going to Bailey's house for dinner.
I'll need a day off after I take up on that. Hey, Jimmy, what did you call this, by the way? The Reuben pork? Does it have a name?
Yeah, it's just a Reuben stuffed pork loin is what I call it.
You got to come up with something better, like Chef Jimmy's.
You got to come up with something better.
It speaks for itself.
Oh, he just dropped what he dropped? Not a mic. He dropped the grilling tongs with that one.
He dropped his fillet knife. If you're doing a Reuben, how about the scuba hippopotamus from Along Came Polly? Something with Reuben, Ben Stiller. Maybe a little out there. You'd have to explain it.
Was that Hank Azaria who played that guy? Really,
no,
Reuben?
No, Ben Stiller was Reuben Pepper. And
Along Came Polly. Okay, I was thinking of whatever.
Yeah, Hank Azaria was
Honeymoon Kid.
What's that, Nate?
Hank Azaria was in that also. He was like the schooner guy or something on the beach.
Yeah.
Really ripped in that movie.
Yeah.
Oh, that's his name? He's also in Couples Retreat.
Yeah. He's actually the voice he voiced a lot of characters on The Simpsons, like Moe, and he does a lot of the foreigner voices. Yeah.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I had no idea it was the same guy. It's like he's like, you up for scuba? You up for scuba, Reuben? It just happened. This reminds me of the story of the hippopotamus. The hippopotamus, he wanted to be more like zebra, and he wanted to put stripe on, and he put stripe on, but no, he could never be like zebra. So he just was happy to be the hippopotamus and live with the rest of the hippopotamuses. Do you understand, Reuben?
Yep, yeah, that's him.
Favorite scenes.
He knows that he's got some good quotes going.
Yeah.
Movie. I love it to death. All right. Jimmy, thank you for joining the show. We appreciate it. Thank you for your service. We hope to have you back on. You did an amazing job. Nate will put up Jimmy Bones's amazing, badass ripped Reuben recipe.
Ripped Reuben. Oh, that's pretty good.
I like it.
Up on the Shoot to Grill podcast website, shoottogrillpodcast.com. Don't forget, if you want to play some poker, stgpoker.com, and you can play amongst myself. I'll be on there. Maybe Matt will be on there.
Yeah.
Win some money. Sign up on the website. Download the app on your phone, iPad. Sign in, and then when you want to cash out, you go back to the website. But it's a great app, the great software, great platform. Matt, I would say look for you on Live Rescue or American Ninja Warrior. But
well, I do have a podcast. It's right here, Factorious. It's a game show podcast. You can get it wherever you get your podcasts. It's been out for a couple weeks. It's a trivia show, Factorious, wherever you get your podcasts. It's like a top 10 comedy podcast right now. So we're excited.
What are you doing?
It's trivia. It's like a game show. So it's a game show. We give you the first letter of the answer, and then I give you facts about the answer. And we have 3 people, and then they try to guess what it is, and then there's a bonus round. But you can play along. If you listen to one episode, I think you'll be hooked. I had a blast doing it. We did 50 episodes. They started out a few weeks ago, and it's been cool. It's nice. I mean, we did it back in October, but it's nice to have something that's out. And American Ninja Warrior Junior is on Friday night. So I have stuff that I did in the past that's out, but not doing anything now.
Do you have an example of one of the – I love game shows.
Well, okay, here we go. All right, Jimmy, you can play too. So what I'll do is I'll give you guys initials. This is your clue. Your clue is the initials of the answer. So your clue is DB. Now I'm going to start reading the facts. And Nate, you can play too. When you think you know the answer, say your name. But keep in mind, you only get one guess. So don't get it wrong. All right. Your clue, DB. Here are the facts. Now, I actually do a great impression of DB because my guy, Boy George, taught me how to sing like DB by pressing your tongue to the top of your mouth and singing, comma, chameleon. It's not very good. Look, DB's output musically is legendary, but DB is also known for his acting.
Jason.
Oh, that's beeping. Jason's guessing. What's your guess, Jason?
David Bowie.
Bang! Just like that. You got it. That's how it works.
Oh, my God. How do you get on the game show?
So we cast it right now. Obviously, the episodes have been done, but we're looking to do a season 2. So just hit me up on social media. I'll put you in touch with our casting person because hopefully we'll get to do another season. And
so they came to, did somebody come to you with this idea?
Yeah. So these guys, Cleve Keller and Dave Knoll, they created Chopped. America Says. They've created like tons of TV shows. They came up with this game show idea, brought it to me. They were thinking of doing it on TV, but podcasts have been exploding. They thought, hey, let's try this as a podcast. Cause like Jeopardy, you don't need to watch, you can just listen. And so it was made for TV and we just realized you could just do the podcast version. So Wait, Don't Tell Me, I think is really, the only big podcast game show. So we're trying to give people another choice for your podcast game show needs.
You win money?
Yeah. $1,000 for the winner.
What?
And yeah, it was competitive. Oh, people get into it. Anytime people play a game, they get into it.
Dude, you don't have you get paid for this?
I did. I got paid for hosting the podcast. Yeah. And we're trying, the hope was that it also becomes a TV show. That's on hold because of current conditions, but it's nice that we did the podcast and it's out and it's been fun. I mean, we played it a couple times with like the Bella twins on their podcast and it's fun for me because I love games and I'm not great playing them, but I love the competition. So I like hosting.
Nate, we should, some of the games that we've been doing since the COVID stuff, we've been Name That Quarantine.
Oh yeah.
We did Project.
Man, games are fun. People are looking for right now. It's mindless.
We did a couple of these bits, these games like Project, where we would go get audio of people standing in line, going into Home Depot, ask them what they're buying, and then you have to figure out what their project is.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's good.
Name That Quarantine is all these, artists that are doing these couch concerts.
Right.
And so you get a point for the artist, point for the song, and a point for the original artist.
Wow.
Yeah. Another one, which I'm a huge fan of, So it's called A Quarantine in History.
Yep.
And the idea came to me when I was having a conversation with somebody that was bitching about their kid, bitching about being, in self-isolation and did the whole, in my day. And I was like, okay, so Nate will write a story of different items that you would have available to you, and you would have to guess the year. And so if you were quarantined, like, one was, a Nintendo NES and stuff like that, then you have multiple choice and have to guess the year. So a lot of creative
That's
bits.
gotta be like 86. That's when the NES came out, wasn't it? 86 around there?
I don't know. You remember, Nate? You have it up? My chance.
83, baby.
Oh, 83. Oh, God.
Yeah.
Well,
So it was fun. Yeah, dude, I love the Factoria stuff, Matt. That's so awesome.
Yeah, it's fun.
I want to be on that. I don't care if I win or not. I just
buddy.
I'll reach out to you on that. That's badass, dude.
You know the host. Right. I don't know if you're eligible, bud.
Yeah. I know the game show rules are really strict. Are they the same with stuff like this?
Yeah. I mean, when we did the podcast, we had judges there. I don't know if we had a lawyer there. We might have, but yeah, they were like trying to make sure nobody's cheating, because anytime money is involved, you have to adhere to the law. So, yeah, but we were playing it for fun.
I still am a huge fan of The Wall, from, Chris Hardwick hosts that.
Yeah.
So like the first season, all I did was talk about The Wall on the air. And then, Chris had been on the show a couple times. So he comes on and I'm like, and I even applied, like it was The Wall and Big Brother. Those are the two things. Like, my life's good. And so, cause I can mind fuck the shit out of people, and I could be and I've had a couple friends like Boogie and Cara Monaco who've been on there, and they've tried to get me on, and I can't take 3 months out of my life.
Most normal people can't.
Right. So anyway, Chris was like, you can't come on because I come on your show. Not that we're best friends, but it's stretch the imagination, but because we have some type of relationship, you can't come on. And I'm like, what if I quit today? And he's like, well, that's not a good idea.
You better win $1 million then.
I was like, I just want to be on a game show. It goes back to when I was 11 years old. We were moving from Maryland to Florida, and we were in a transition. We had sold our house. We're living in this townhouse in Maryland, and my neighbor's mother was on Wheel of Fortune. Now, if you remember Wheel of Fortune back in the day,
you could shop the prizes
in the carousel that would go around.
Yeah.
And everything like overly expensive. Like, I'll take that pen for $1,500. But it was cool. And she won around, and she bought like silver plateware. And I would go over, and they lived like right next door. Be like, oh my God, you got that on Wheel of Fortune.
Oh yeah.
Never. So ever since then, I've always wanted to be on a freaking.
We'll make it happen somewhere or other.
Yeah, maybe you do one for charity. Where I could play. Yeah.
There we go. So I think you'd be ferocious on it too. Little competitive juices going.
I'd have Nate write an algorithm to hack everybody. All right. Look, Matt, I love you to death, brother.
Buddy, thanks for having me on.
Stay safe, would you?
Yeah.
And we'll see you sooner than later. Jimmy, again, thanks for everything, dude.
Thank you.
You're eating it. I'm guessing it's pretty damn good.
Delicious.
That Reuben looks awesome, Chef Jimmy Bones.
Oh yeah. Thank you.
That's what we'll call it. The Reuben from Jimmy Bones.
That's a good one.
I like it.
All right, Nate, brother man, thanks so much. Nate will get this up sooner than later on the Shoot to Grow podcast website, s04e03.com. Matt, take care. Jimmy Bones, Nate, everybody.
See you, buddy.
Thanks for
thank you.
Thanks, Matt.